let's talk about Dillon Danis, because after all of that, after everything that went into getting this fight off the ground, all of the fighting back and forth between Logan Paul and Dillon Danis, pulling in Logan Paul's fiance, Nina Agdal, with all of the pictures and all of the leaks and everything like that, it ended up in court where she is suing him for releasing revenge porn. He is now saying, it was just comedy, bro. It was just a joke. He says it was just a joke to promote the fight.
Gosh, take a joke.
Take a joke, right? I find this to be very interesting for one specific reason. This whole thing led to like actual discussions being had by people about like people were actually saying, does body count matter? Like how much do you care about your man or woman's past? Like people were having actual philosophical discussions about the meaning of relationships and what it means to be in a relationship because of all of this stuff going on. And then she sues him and gets a restraining order. And now they're saying it's what, just a joke for promotion? I mean, are you going to pay back the courts for wasting everyone's time if it was just a joke?
I don't mind seeing some repercussions for just utterly dragging and humiliating someone on the internet, because it's so easy to do behind a screen.
But
right?
all he did was post. Like I'm not saying what he did was like great, but posting pictures of a woman who's been in relationships with public figures is not revenge porn.
Were these like secret private photos, or were they already available on the internet?
They were already available. And then he reposted videos that she had already posted. There's a $20 one here from Francisco Sanchez Jr. says, it's time for Brett to be on whatever. That will never, ever happen. That would be there is literally nothing in the world less interesting than the idea of me on that podcast. I would literally be there like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah, if you want to have an OnlyFans, like, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really care. Not my thing, but sure. You know, that's what it would be for 4 hours. You will not get the righteous fury from me that you get from Mary, because I don't really care if women want to be whores.
I feel like 4 hours is a long time to sit on a podcast.
It is. Yeah. And I'm not going to sit in judgment of a bunch of women who are like, thank you. Like, I get it. Like, I get the judgment. I get it.
It gets better the more you hear it.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, I think a big part of it for me is also that I was such a fuck up. Like, I was such a mess for so many years, and I've done so much in my life that I've had to kind of regain my own self-esteem, and I've had to make up for so many mistakes that I have a hard time at my age, after doing so many things, that I've had to kind of learn to be okay with myself again. I'm not going to sit in judgment of them for that when they're like 22-year-old girls who are reacting to a market force that's created by men. Right?
Very
like,
well put.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does say something. It does say something larger about society, though, that this is now a viable option that a lot of young women think is a good idea. Mm-hmm. And
Absolutely.
It's really sad.
It is a viable option because men make it a viable option for women.
Yeah, but what kind of impacts and consequences could it have in the future?
It will have a lot of them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're adults and they can make their own choices, and they can learn to live with them later. Now, I would have more to say if 5 years later they do like the whatever reunion and all of these women come back and then complain about like what's happened to them, then I will come and be like, you made your own choices.
Yeah.
You're an adult. Not
or
my
they
problem.
all turn trad and they come back with their like 5 kids and their goat and their husband. My thing is like, it's very entertaining. However, I don't feel like it's helping solve the problem. It feels more of like a hate watch kind of thing. But at the same time, maybe the shaming and like the humiliation will deter other people from thinking that this is a viable way to live your life and act. So I hope the positive comes from it.
We just watched a woman put a tail on and jump around a bunch of stores because people tried to shame her. So I don't know if I actually buy that works.
Yeah. I don't watch the whole show. I see a clip occasionally come up on Twitter feed, and sometimes they're pretty funny.
Yeah.
But they've had some really interesting guests on there, though, and they sometimes have good discussions. Yeah. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to watch, and it makes me feel bad seeing younger women go talk about things that I think should be private things and talk about like selling photos of themselves online, which I don't really think is a good idea. And then it's out there for the world forever because they decided to go do that at, 20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I wish that you could have your older self come talk to you about why you shouldn't do this right now, because you wouldn't listen to anybody else. But maybe some of them won't regret any of it.
More than likely, some of them will, some of them won't. But everybody wants to approach it with this idea that they're going to get the last laugh in this. And that's just, the world doesn't work in such a linear fashion.
Yeah, and is it somewhat exploitative? Like when you talk about these girls are like in their early 20s, more impressionable, more willing to kind of go on these shows and talk about this kind of stuff with
I've been told by multiple women on this show that women mature faster than men.
Yeah, but also, to my knowledge, this is a show that to go on it, you reach out to them. Correct?
I'm not sure how that works.
Believe it or not, I don't have an OnlyFans, so they haven't reached out to me.
I think that, at least on their Instagram, it says, like, DM us to go on.
Yeah.
Because I get messages like, you should go on whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, man, no, I'd be hungry, like 2 hours in.
Right.
And cranky, and I would just be, like, speechless at the horrific things I'm listening to. I don't know if that's a show for me.
Yeah, I guess I'm just more of the mind of, like... I guess it's not exploitative because they are literally asking for it. I think it's more so like this is what our culture has created.
Yeah.
Is that girls are willing to be exploited and like want to be, it seems like, to go on that show and
or like see it as empowering.
Yeah, or cool. Be like, well, I get to be on this podcast. I don't care if I humiliate myself and look like a 304.
They don't
whatever.
look in their mind, they don't find it humiliating. So why would it matter?
Good point.
To them.
Touché.
So it says Dillon Danis says his hundreds of social media posts about Logan Paul's fiance, Nina Agdal, were meant to be taken as a joke, claiming that he was only playing the role of a bad guy to promote his recent boxing match. It's funny how the world is becoming more like pro wrestling every day. He's playing a heel in real life, which frankly I think is hilarious. The former Bellator MMA fighter, I guess he got fired from Bellator as well.
Wow.
Just
because
recently.
of this?
I don't know. I don't think that's what it said in the article that I read. It says in court documents obtained by TMZ, it says in which he says his incessant trolling of the WWE superstar and Sports Illustrated swimsuit model was clearly parody, satire, comedy, farce, or opinion to draw in interest to the fight. So this is what's interesting. So there is no longer this solid line that separates the real world from what is clearly meant, what he claims is clearly meant to be comedy or farce. You don't know anymore. We no longer live in a world with these actual lines. Now, it's funny because he mentions Logan Paul being a pro wrestler. One of the things that died in the early days of the internet was what they call kayfabe, which was the illusion that these guys actually don't like each other because people used to think that wrestling was real. And nowadays, everyone laughs.
I was going to say the difference with like the fake wrestling is it was fake.
Yes, but the idea is like people laugh now. They're like, oh, how could you ever buy that this stuff is real? You weren't alive or you weren't around at a time when it was just not that clear. You look back on it, sure, hindsight is 20/20, but now anything you watch online, any type of conflict, whether it's between Drake and Joe Budden or any of these people, right? You don't know what's being done in the service of someone's business or to promote something. There's too much of it. It's why I say every time one of these models or one of these actresses writes, there's an article that comes out and it says, this is what happened to me. I was taken advantage of by a photographer when I was 17. I was exploited by doing this music video. And then I roll my eyes and I go, when does the book come out? Because I immediately assume that everything that we see now is in service of some larger cause to make money. At the end of the day, black, white, doesn't matter. Money is what matters. Money is what sells to all of these people. All these people can talk about having all of the causes in the world, having all of these things that they care about. At the end of the day, they will put themselves, their family, and their future first. That means selling out the idea of what a woman is to someone, or insulting another person's fiance, knowing that it's going to ignite conversations between the public about what all of these things mean. They don't care if you know it's fake or not. They don't care if it makes people question what it means for society to be a woman in this day and age. They don't care at all as long as it helps them make money.
This could all be fake.
Yes.
This could all be orchestrated.
Yes.
Even this part of it, you mean? Right?
All of it. It's possible.
It's all, yes. In the chat, Pat the Plumber's right. It's all a work, and none of it feels real anymore. Which is why when I look at any of this stuff, any of these topics, I am so detached because all of it is a stage. The internet is a stage. It's just a more complex and inorganic method of promotion, or a more organic method of promotion than we've ever had before. And it's no wonder that kids are confused about what the real world is like these days. When they're like, I was actually pointing out, I said, like, is Logan Paul the closest thing these kids have to a role model who's in the middle of a crypto scam, but at least he went out and beat up another guy to defend his wife's honor, his girlfriend's honor.
He's the guy who filmed the video that showed something that he shouldn't have showed
many years ago. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I had heard about, and that's why I knew his name.
If Mans can come back from that, he can come
when did
back
everybody forget about that?
There's just there's just no line anymore between what is media, what is promotion, what is actual real life consequences or real life fighting between people. Like, I just don't buy it anymore. Like, anytime one of these celebrities, like, it was like when Holly Madison and all these people were writing all this stuff about not Harvey Weinstein, about Hugh Hefner.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, you're selling me a book. You made some choices in your 20s that you're not proud of, but everyone's going to try to extrapolate what happened to you at the Playboy Mansion to what it means for them in their adult life, what the relationships are between the sexes based on what a bunch of Playboy bunnies did with the head of Playboy back in the early 2000s. I'm sorry. You're not going to get me to buy that has any practical relevance to what's going on in the real world. But as long as these articles, these books, these interviews, and these people reach impressionable individuals, it will always have an impact. And the internet is slowly blurring the lines. And no wonder people are kind of losing their minds.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of not being able to tell that wrestling was fake, a lot of people watch these housewife shows as though it's real.
Yeah.
And I can't watch it for more than 5 seconds without being like, this is so cringily fake. Like, is any of that drama, do people believe that it's real?
There are plenty of people that watch the Kardashians and think that it's real.
Right.
It's not.
None of it. Nothing.
The world is just so, like, the internet. I go back to this, and I've mentioned this on IRL a few times. I don't believe the human brain was designed to be able to withstand the internet. I do not think that we were designed for that much information input all the time. There's a reason why you are always in a worse mood after reading the news. There's a reason why staying on your phone for long periods of time puts you in a bad mood or makes you worse than you were before. You're constantly bombarded by information. And we're just talking about social media and how Logan Paul's relationship with his fiance affects society, right? We're not talking about news and politics where people are, we're going to talk about in the next article. One of the things they reference is, like, kids are being bombarded with constant fear porn about climate change, about all these issues. We as human beings were not designed to constantly be fed information 24/7 without a break. Now, that does not mean that things were good when we had 3 major companies deciding what reality was, but I don't know what the middle ground is, because I don't think that we were designed to be able to sit in front of this much information all the time and still be okay.
Especially kids.
Yeah.
Like, adults have a little bit easier time differentiating that from reality, but kids, when like I didn't have a cell phone when I was a kid, so it's hard for me to even.
Yeah, me neither.
I think I got like a flip phone that you couldn't do anything but make phone calls when I was like 15, maybe 14. But all you could do was call on it. Like, I don't think I could even text at first. And I didn't get like a smartphone until like later into my teenage years.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't grow up with a tablet. I didn't grow up like spending a lot of time on the internet. When I was a little kid, like there were like a couple websites I even knew about, and it was like to play games. Mm-hmm. That was it. Mm-hmm. I didn't have social media.
I still have no idea how Minesweeper works.
Wow. Childhood memory unlocked.
Yep.
Playing that on desktop.
Yep. No clue how it works. Lost every time.
Like I grew up as a kid with like the draw thing on a PC where you could just draw.
Yeah, I remember that too.
You remember that?
And I remember playing Backyardigans or something, like the baseball game, and like back to school, type to learn. Did you guys ever do like type to learn? You could learn how to type really fast.
I think I did that in school.
Yeah, I would do that at home
number
too.
munchers.
Nerd.
So I spent my free time.
Yeah, the internet was a mistake.
Well, I don't think the internet necessarily was the mistake. Social media
was definitely a mistake.
That was a big mistake.
Yep.
There are good and bad things that come along with it.
There are some, there are good. I mean, do you think overall it's good or overall it's been a negative for society?
I think it depends on how you look at it. Mm-hmm. Like, we can access information to make our lives easier. Like, I can look up how to get somewhere easier, or I can purchase something easier than having to go out and seek it. But also, there's just so much information and so much bullshit and fake stuff. It's hard to tell what's real from what's fake. I don't need to know this much about everybody else's lives, nor do they need to know this much about mine. And then it's on there forever. Yeah. And there's no undoing it.
Yeah. I am of the opinion of, if we had to choose between, has it done more good and we should keep it, or has it done more bad and we should get rid of it? And I would say get rid of it, personally. I think humans made it this far.
An interesting trial run to see how we do without it for a while.
Oh, dude, I was talking to Kim about this the other day. Imagine if everyone's cell phones just stopped working. The world would be in utter chaos.
No, my favorite is what I picture is like the head of Google and the head of Apple one day, just to assert power, turn off Google Maps. Or like, and watch.
Good luck.
Watch whole.
People just start veering off the road.
And they just like, no, because like, okay, so I was watching. I watched Die Another Day recently. Don't judge me. It's people don't like that one. It's not the greatest Bond movie, but it's got this great scene where he's in the. It's okay. It's not a great scene, but it's he's basically he's asserting his power at this thing that he's created that can just swat nukes from the sky, right? And he's like, we'll just swat them from the sky. It's like right now Google would be like, oh, you're canceling our government contracts. Boop. And then everybody crashes and nobody can get anywhere. And they could do that.
Yeah.
I have no idea the legalities of that.
Oh, I was telling you, I watched that Luther movie last night. And in it, they have these just blackmail farms where they have every bit of information on everyone. And dude, I'd put my money on those being real.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.